She walked out again. No explanation. No goodbye. Just the silence of an open door swinging in the wind, and the ache of a man who still loved her. But here's the twist. God told him to marry her. Yes, you heard that right. God told him to marry a woman who would break his heart. This is not a story about romance. It's a story about the kind of love that stays, even when it has every reason to walk away. Before we dive deep, hit the like button and subscribe, because stories like this one aren't just heard, they're felt. He had always known the voice of God, the way it stirred his soul, the way it pierced deeper than any sword. But this time, it didn't come with thunder or fire, it came with heartbreak. When the Lord began to speak through Hosea, the Lord said to him, "Go, marry a promiscuous woman and have children with her, for like an adulterous wife, this land is guilty of unfaithfulness to the Lord." Hosea 1:2. Wait, what? Did he hear right? A prophet marrying a woman known for promiscuity? That went against logic, against reputation, against everything Hosea thought a godly life should look like. But God wasn't calling him to a comfortable life. He was calling him to a living message, because the people of Israel, God's own people, had turned away. They had chased after other gods, pursued prosperity, worshipped idols that could never love them back. And God, in his mercy, wanted them to see it, to feel what he felt, to understand his pain, not through words alone, but through Hosea's life. So Hosea obeyed. He walked into the rough side of town, where whispers followed every woman's footsteps, and there, he met her. Gomer. She wasn't polished, she wasn't proper, but she had a face that carried stories, and eyes that looked like they had forgotten how to hope. Maybe she laughed when he first spoke kindly to her. Maybe she looked away, expecting him to judge like the others. But Hosea, he saw something in her that no one else could. He took her hand. He married her. And in doing so, he stepped straight into a storm. A storm God had called him into. At first, it might have seemed like a happy ending. They had a home. They had children. They had what looked like a fresh start. But something in Gomer never fully settled. There were days she smiled, and nights she stared out the window, lost in thought. There were moments she held her baby with joy, and moments she vanished without a word. She wasn't just struggling with her past. She was still chasing it. Their mother has been unfaithful and conceived them in disgrace. Hosea 2:5. Gomer couldn't shake the pull of her former life, the excitement, the illusion of freedom, the false comfort of being wanted, even if it was for all the wrong reasons. And Hosea? He waited. He hurt. He prayed. Can you imagine the ache of loving someone who keeps leaving? Of tucking your children into bed, not knowing if their mother will come home? Of hearing whispers in the street, "She's gone again. That prophet's a fool." But Hosea didn't stop loving her. Not because it was easy, not because she earned it, but because his love wasn't based on her faithfulness. It was based on God's. And remember, this wasn't just a marriage. It was a living parable. Because just like Gomer walked away from Hosea, Israel had walked away from God. And just like Hosea longed for his wife to return, God longed for his people to come back to him. If this story is speaking to you already, don't forget to like and subscribe, because these stories are too powerful to keep to ourselves. This wasn't how her story was supposed to end. Not like this. Not chained, not owned, not surrounded by eyes that didn't see her as a person, only a price. Gomer had gone too far. She had run one too many times. And now, the lovers she had chased, had left her to be sold like property. She was alone, unwanted, ashamed. Then, through the noise and chaos, one pair of eyes saw her differently. It was Hosea. So I bought her for 15 shekels of silver and a homer and a lethek of barley. Hosea 3.2. He didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He didn't say, "I told you so." He stepped forward, and he paid the price. He paid for the woman who had betrayed him. He bought back the one who had left him, again and again, not because she was worth it in the world's eyes, but because she was still worth it in his. Can you imagine the crowd that day? The gasps, the confusion, the quiet disbelief as the prophet of God, this holy man, bought back his unfaithful wife. And then he said something even more shocking. "You must dwell with me many days. You shall not be a prostitute, nor belong to another man. So will I be with you." Hosea 3:3. In other words, I'm not just buying you back, I'm welcoming you home. Not as a slave, not as punishment, but as a wife. Loved, restored, wanted. Again. This wasn't pity. This was grace in full display. A picture of scandalous mercy that defies logic. Has God ever brought you back from something messy? Comment below. He redeemed me. This story is not just about a broken marriage. It's not just about a woman's failure or a man's relentless love. This is our story. This is the gospel. Because whether we admit it or not, we're all a little like Gomer. We've all turned our backs on the one who loves us most. We've chased relationships that promise to fill the emptiness. Money, fame, attention, comfort, control. We've run from God, wandered into slavery of our own making, and ended up in places we swore we'd never go. But the beauty of the gospel is this. Jesus came to the slave market too. And just like Hosea, he didn't wait for us to clean up. He didn't ask us to prove ourselves. He didn't say, "Get it together, then I'll think about saving you." He walked right into the mess, right into the shame, and he said, "I'll pay the price. I'll buy them back." But this time, it wasn't with silver or barley. It was with his own blood. You were bought at a price. 1 Corinthians 6:20. He hung on a cross, not just to forgive, but to restore, to say, "You're mine. Come home." This is what real love looks like. It's not transactional. It's transformational. And even when we're at our worst, God still wants us. So what do we do with a story like this? We remember that God's love is not like ours. It doesn't fade. It doesn't quit. It goes to the ends of the earth. We stop running. No matter how far you've gone, you can still come home. We choose grace, not just to receive it, but to give it, even when it hurts. I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely. Hosea 14:4. If you're grateful for grace, share this story. Someone out there needs to know it's not too late. And so, Hosea welcomed her home. He didn't lecture her. He didn't say, "I told you so." He didn't ask for explanations. He paid the price to bring her back, and then he loved her again. Not as a servant, not as a project, but as a wife, fully restored. And that's when the message finally came into focus. You see, Hosea's story wasn't just about Hosea. It was a mirror, a living parable, a story of how God loves us, not because we deserve it, but because he is love. And that is the kind of love that changes everything. Maybe you've walked away. Maybe you felt too dirty, too broken, too far gone. But this is the heartbeat of God. He still wants you. He still chooses you. And he's already paid the price. So stop running. Come home. Because the door is still open. If this story touched you, drop a heart in the comments and subscribe. This isn't just a story. It's your invitation to grace,